Good morning, everybody. Please hit like and subscribe. Leave comments in the comment section. This is another episode of Creation Bear and the Servant. What's up, brother?
How's it going, man? Great to be on. Thanks for having me.
That's good, man. I'm glad you came on. That's pretty tight, man.
Yeah.
But so like today, I wanted to get into um because there's a lot going on, right? There's like a lot going on, especially like not only is there a lot going on, but there's a lot that's lining up with Revelation, right? Which gives a lot of confirmation that the Bible is true, and there's a lot of serious stuff planned for us that's could cause us some immediate danger, right? And could be news that is helpful to other people. Probably the biggest thing you could ever tell somebody is, hey, God is real and you're in the plan and you get to go. Like that is probably
Yeah.
the best thing you could ever give somebody, right? And so I'd
Absolutely.
like to I'd like to focus on like the reaction that people give us, man. Like when we have this information, right? We go to tell them, and it's not just telling them, right? We can like pretty much lay it out, right? If they're reasonable, we can show them flat Earth. We could show them evolution is BS. We could show them the stuff happening in the news, right? Like, and what's crazy is you send somebody a video and it's like, man, like a week later, you're like, hey, man, what's up with that video, right? And they're like, oh yeah, man, I'm not gonna watch it, man. And it's like it's frustrating,
Absolutely.
right? Isn't it? I mean, so
Absolutely.
have you had any uh interactions like that, like in your days as a truther?
It's funny you asked me that because I actually had written that down too. Is like, have you gotten through with anyone? And like, what kind of friends have I tried to talk to? Really, um, it doesn't. I'd say what 90% of the time, 90+% of the time, it doesn't really work. You'll get that instant roadblock, the instant rejection. So I actually popped into a live stream and asked this question to Jason from Crow 777, and Dr. Kaufman was on there, Andy Kaufman.
Nice.
And I asked them, I said, hey, how do you guys deal with, I basically just described it as like gravy plus family. And they, of course, everyone had a big laugh and they all get it. I'm sure you get the same thing. There aren't too many people. That's why there's this community. There's you and all these other people trying to chirp up here and create something because it's not necessarily around us. And as much as
Right.
I try, I mean, I have my my best friend. I think the best tactic I have these days is to try to be as confident and humorous as possible. Make jokes about how silly being in space would be, and maybe not put him on the spot. Like, oh, do you really think this? I'll just make space seem so crazy because it really is.
It
Um,
is. Yeah.
it really truly is, and it's that childlike simplicity of like we're not spinning. Look around, that kind of confidence, that swagger, I think really helps these days. Whereas before it's like it felt like you were trying to convince them, and these days it's like you don't need to so much. It's like planting a seed is better than trying to shovel them all the truth right at once. um,
Right.
the best thing I've gotten so far is I've had a gentleman who was just real respectful, and I think he already was on the side of creation. He kind of understood that. And of course, like everyone else, they hear flat Earth and they think it's crazy. But he was actually pretty respectful because I told him that the creation element was part of it. So I think I got him to think twice, and he never projected and said, "Oh, hey, I'm gonna go look into it" or anything. But he did react differently than most people do. So it's every once in a while you'll get someone like that, and yeah, I wonder what he thinks today.
Well, it's rewarding, when you run into someone like that, right? It's like almost worth all the other rejections, just to get through to one person, and especially if they come back to you for more questions, like,
The sad part about that though is that I've had some pretty traumatic or like pretty bad experiences, right? Even like close friend, family, I'll bring up flat Earth, and it really caused some drama, some real drama. And so at this point, it's a balance. It's like fine balance of revealing that hand to whom and when and all that.
Right. Yeah. You gotta really well. It is scripture too, right? Don't cast your pearls before swine. Not that you're
True. That's
calling
a good
anybody
one.
swine, right? But like, there's some people that just aren't ready for that.
That's
Like,
very true.
and so like I think like what I do is I kind of like I'll paint like a little picture. I won't even bring up flat earth, right? I'll just like paint like a little picture with like my kid or something, and I'll be like, well, like take like a pencil, like an unsharpened pencil, right? And where it's flat on one side, and then stand it up on your desk, and if you leave it alone, it'll probably stay there a couple hours, maybe even all day, that pencil, right? And then you go, well, we're traveling in four different, breakneck orbital speeds at 11 different vectors, right? And that pencil is like, you know what I mean? Like I have like pendulums,
Yeah.
right, that I own that haven't moved in like 3 4 years, man,
Right,
and
right. It's that
it's so
childlike simplicity.
right. Like, would that really happen on a flying ball? And
No
then like,
way. Yeah.
right. It's absurd, right? And that usually jolts them, and then I just leave them alone, let them
Right.
think it out, But then
There's
like,
this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead, buddy.
I was listening to Kingdom in Contact. I think it's Kingdom in Context podcast. I just recently found him. He had on like Rose 777, and then I think he's had on Dave Weiss recently, and that was a really good stream. But this guy's pretty into pretty into the Bible and truther and stuff like that. And he was saying he kind of takes a similar route to you, where he'll paint the picture first using the Bible. So he'll kind of like ask them, like, "Oh, do you believe the Bible?" And they'll kind of say, "Oh, well, yeah," and then he just kind of uses that the firmament and all these things in the Bible, and then gets them to realize, like, "Oh, wait, is he talking about flat Earth?" And so,
Right, right.
right, if you can kind of bring them in first before. I think that just those two words, man, are just trigger words. It gets people to really revolt.
Are. They are. And I almost wonder if it's like more than just people, like it's more than just intelligence level, it's more than just being awake. I think that like, okay, so if you watch television, right? I haven't in a little while now, but if you watch TV, there's a lot of spinning graphics, a lot of flashy lights, a lot of different camera angles, right?
Ah,
And so yeah, you'd be naive to think that like you know what do you call it, hypnotism didn't happen. Of course it's happening. And like you take that plus like whatever you believe about spells or whatever, right? Like it would have to be on that level, right? Because like it's funny, like you'll get like sometimes the closer I get someone to proving it to them, the more they freak out, like right. I was arguing with my stepbrother, right? And um my his dad and my mom got married when I was like 26, so I didn't grow up with him, but he's part of the family now, right? And so we
yep.
were talking about it, fake space. He's big into space and telescopes and planets, and he's a
I
fanboy.
mean, we all used to be. I'm sure you used to be. I was.
Right, right. And so like I was like, going back and forth. He would always have an answer for my thing, and I'd always have an answer for his thing, right? And then I sent him the NASA stuff, right? Where there, guys hanging from a cord, I mean, obvious, fakery, right? And the only way you can deny that is to just be dishonest, and so I send it to him, and he goes, "This conversation ends right now," and I'm like, "What?" I'm like, I'm like, I'm just trying to help you, like I'm opening up your mind so that you're not fooled anymore, you know? Why am I the bad
Right.
guy? You know,
Yeah.
like those people don't love
Yeah.
you, you know? Like they don't care about you
Right.
at
Very
all.
true.
You know, in
Right. But
fact,
see,
the more you believe it, the more they're laughing at you and mocking you, you know?
yeah, but see, you're no expert, Steve. You're no expert.
Right. Right. It's funny you said that because I was like talking to one guy and all I said was like, yeah, light frequencies or something. And he said, you don't have the education to even say the word frequency. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what are
it's
you
silly, man.
talking
I
about?
don't need permission do research or think or you know.
Yeah, that's like,
Everyone has their own ability, and I think that's where most of truthers are coming from. Like, hey, you have the ability to think for yourself. You don't have to just
right.
accept what's handed to you. Dissect it, go through it, discern it, figure it out.
Yeah. Well, I think two things, uh, two things that I needed to accept to really get myself firm footing in the truth, right? Is one, the world is not a fair place. It's a nasty place where people
Mm-hmm.
are wrong to each other. There's some bad people in the world. I had to accept that, right? That it's not fair for everybody. I probably don't have a chance at, achieving my goals, right? That's hard to accept, right? And then
Yeah,
the next
true.
thing I
Yeah,
and,
I'd
and,
agree.
and then the next thing I had to accept is that um like appeal to education is really like the lowest IQ move you could really do, I have a PhD. It's like, well, if you were a smart guy, you wouldn't have to even bring that up. It would just be apparent that you're a smart guy, you know? Like I had to accept certain things, right, that weren't normal thinking, right? Like when I walked into my doctor's office, I used to think, okay, this guy is smarter than me, right? And he's going to tell me what I need to do, right? But in reality, like we're all the same, you know what I mean? Like we're all kind of equal, more equal than I wanted to believe. I thought experts were like way smarter at something, and I could trust that. But most of the time, I knew more than they did about my own condition, which was kind of scary,
Yeah, I sometimes love to see everybody as 5-year-olds. Like picture us all as children.
Yes.
People. It's an easy way to pop that big ego because it's hard to be a big shot when you're so young. We were all there. We all started there.
Right.
I got a question for you. Let me ask you something.
Sure. Yeah.
We know about all this mark of the beast and stuff that's coming up, and
Yeah.
they're trying to do so much stuff, meat and media, and it's just literally everything. Um,
Everything.
do you consent to any of this?
No.
Right, right,
None of it.
zero,
None of
like
it.
absolutely none of it, and that's
Well,
a big thing.
it got to a point, right, where I used to be able to like live in the world and just kind of ignore it, right, and just do my own thing and just exist, and I didn't have to be part of it, but I could exist in it, But now I'm at the point now where I'm almost driven into isolation. Like it's that bad where like not to where I can't function out there, right? But I mean I can, but it's at the point where my spirit really it feels uncomfortable around other people now, it's almost I would say almost a handicap to me at this point, like I feel overwhelming like joy and peace, like even in the chaos, which is a benefit, but like at the same time, like I really realize now what the world is, man. It's like 80% of the people don't care either way and aren't going to listen, right? And and a very small percentage of people on the screen run everything, and they want us like I mean, if they could kill us, they probably would, I think that's the only way. I mean, that's one good confirmation you can say, well, there is a God, because if there wasn't a God, these people would just wipe us out. They have no need for us, like at all, you know. And I think that they're only allowed to do a certain you know, a certain amount to us, you know. And I think that was established well in the book of Job, what the devil's really capable of doing, you know. He needs your consent, right? Or he needs God's consent to do anything to you, you know. And I think we're at the point in the age of grace now where if we don't consent to the devil, it's not going to hurt us, you know. And but then again, you're going to be very separate from the world, you know. So like, I try not to consent to any of it, because as soon as you let it in, it's going to affect you, you know. Which is, you know, sad, but you know, that's kind of how I've been able to deal with it. You know, it's not the best way. How
Yeah,
would
it's
you?
like you know, he's trying to get you to do it to yourself also. You know, it's like you
Sure.
put that mask on. And it's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. I heard this today. Mask is literally like not facing reality. You're covering your face, you know, and it's crazy, man. I
Well,
saw someone
it also does
yeah, go
like something chemical to your breathing, right? Like, so like when you hyperventilate, you breathe into a bag, you know, and that causes some kind of reaction in your breathing to where like you start to calm down, you know, you start to get real calm and docile, you know. And it's kind of the same thing, you know. I wouldn't say as dramatic as breathing into a bag, but if you're breathing into your mask all day long, it's going to have a similar effect, you know, which
Yeah,
is
and what's
another.
crazy is I was on Reddit sometimes, and I know that can be a dumpster fire most times. But something called me out to comment on someone who posted about wearing a mask recently, and one of the comments I got underneath was basically saying, "Oh, I wear one all day long, no big deal." Like, you at this point, man, you know, you're just lying to yourself, really. And
Right,
at this
right.
point, you'll accept the market that beats 100% happily.
Yeah, well, I mean, see, the thing is like people don't think like, how does a normal person, how do normal people really react, right? Like none of this is how real people react, right? Like when there's a world, if there was a worldwide crisis, and there really was every separate country, like they say there is, right? Your country might have one way of dealing with it. Another country will have their own way, right? They're not going to listen to you. They got their own way to do it. They're in charge of their own selves, right? And then another company might not want to shut down at all, right? They want to, you know, keep their economy going, and it's worth the risk to them, you know. Very rarely are you going to get a lot of people to agree on the same plan in a short period of time. That's not realistic human behavior, you know. Like, it's
Just
hard
like
to get.
the Antarctic Treaty.
Right, right. Right, exactly. It's
What's
hard to
funny
get.
about that is
Yeah,
I was just looking at Google Maps, just
yeah.
randomly looking at Google Maps yesterday, and it's crazy how big they portray Antarctica on there. It's this whole thing, the bottom, the whole thing,
Right.
and they can never get it. They'll never hammer down exactly on a globe. You know, all the pictures are different of what Antarctica looks like. I can't see how the way they portray it on Google Maps would be the same as they normally portray it on the globe. That's insane. We obviously know that it's a wall, but it's funny to see how exact they make it, right? And then
Right.
I started thinking, what else are they graveling on this map? I looked at Greenland, Iceland. They're, you know, those seem off, and then anything above those two countries is all, it seems all messed up. And yeah, it's really funny to see the map, really, because we know it's not true.
I saw a couple of people. This was a while back, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, like when I was first getting into flat Earth. I can't remember what the. I want to give him credit though, because it's not my own idea. But he had the AE map. Okay, you know how like the AE map works for everything except for um, uh, South America and Australia are too far apart, right? So where the flights just
Okay.
won't work, right? And so this one guy was showing it in reverse, right, where Antarctica was the North Pole, and everything went out the opposite way, where where Australia and South America were inside and closer together, and then the United States and everything was on the outside, and then at the top
Wow.
would be, yeah, like Alaska and Canada, and all the cold places, Greenland, all that stuff up there near where the where Antarctica, where the wall is, right? um because there's a lot of cold countries, right? There's Russia, Canada, Greenland, Iceland, right? They're all cold as hell, right? Alaska, all that stuff, right? But how are
Right.
they all gonna fit in that one little pole area, right? And then you have I'm trying to paint this picture for the listeners. Australia and South America so far apart, but if it was inverted, right? Which that wouldn't be too surprising, things being inverted. Of course, I'd have to
Agreed.
see it.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'd have to see it like worked out like on the map. But the way this guy showed it, I was like, oh wow, and everything would work. Like everything would
That is
work.
fascinating.
It is. It's sad that we're not gonna be able to know this information before it's time to get out of here. Because we just don't
Yeah,
have
I
to
know.
do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many mysteries, but I think that's what's cool about being a truther is that you can start to unlearn the grabbled history and start learning that there are things that we actually don't know. The moon, how the eclipse happens, um,
Right.
if the what the map really is, how much if there is any extra terra, um,
Right.
and yeah, eclipse, that's a big thing too. We got some solstice coming up here on the
We
20th,
do.
don't we?
We do. And did you know that they have this Luciferian March or whatever, like
Wow,
planned for the 21st of June. So coming up,
the day
and
after.
the day after, yeah. And it's going to be like this big thing, man, this big march, man. And
They get it.
but it's crazy, man. That no, but like these are the Luciferians that are talking about like, okay, it's time for the devil now. Like it's like they're so overt with it. Like they're so overt with it. It's
It
like,
does show that they understand something about,
yeah,
or whoever's putting this together does show somewhat of a hand, doesn't it?
yeah, oh yeah. This has been. I see. Like I used to think that like, and I brought this up many times, right? And I used to think that like, well, maybe the Bible matches reality, or they're trying to troll us by using those numbers and all that. or like I'm trying to figure out what matches what. And then like I was talking to Tom, right, and I was like, well, I think we're just living the story the way it is. And it can't be any other way because it's written. It's like like we have free will, but we're characters in a story. Like this isn't like what we think is real isn't really real. Like we were taught to believe this happened naturally and this is all real, right? But in reality, we're characters in a book, man. That's
Yeah, you
what's
know what that
real.
makes me think of?
Yeah.
That makes me think of that movie Avatar, with the blue characters and the
Oh
big
yeah,
tree
yeah,
thing. So
yeah.
like the idea about the big tree, right? I think I sent you that video, No Forest on Flat Earth. And
Gotta see that
it's
again.
like all these giant, I mean, if there's any reality to it, all these giant trees chopped down. It just makes you think about I don't know. And then like there are God's ideas kind of floating and revealed in some of these movies, right? In some of these
Yeah,
shows.
sure.
And it's like, man, you start to uncover some mysteries and it start to be more and more fascinating, this realm, this
Well, see,
place.
that's why I thought like, okay, this show, I think came at the right time. It's important, right? And I've kind of wish, I kind of wish Tom was still wanting to do it and everything, but yeah, he's made it clear he doesn't want to do it anymore, and I get it. It's a lot of work, you know, it's always about something that we care about a lot. But here's the thing, right? Is that this is like the next step, right? This is where like truthers can get together and talk about like their own insights on what they think is the. This is what I think this means. This is what, because we all have different skills, you know, and when we're trying to put it all together. Now that we know most of this truth, right, that's out there, right? Like what can we build with this in our heads to get a grasp on reality, you know? And so there was this one guy I was listening to. I don't know if you heard Flat Earth Data before, and I don't really know him that well, but I heard him talking on Ranchies, man, and man, he was saying some stuff, man, like really having some good insight, right? And I'd like to get him on the show, you know, and he said he would come on the show. So I think this could be like one of those communities where we could get a couple people on and start talking about that kind of stuff, you know, and really start putting it together and start putting it together exactly what's happening in Revelation, because pretty soon it will get to a point where you know, it'll go word for word, day for day, like it is in Revelation. We'll be able to say, okay, well, this is what's going to happen today. This seal's going to break today, you know, and it should get down to that point, whether we're here or not, if we're raptured or not, you know. And so whether we're raptured pre-trib or post-trib pre-wrath. So you know, it should get down to where we can be able to tell in that way. But I think it would be so great to build that picture with other truthers, you know.
Yeah, some of those hangouts too can be a little bit dumpster fiery as well. So
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
focusing down the ideas. And Flat Earth Data, I'm kind of familiar with him from the chats, but
yeah,
I think I subscribe, but I should check out some more of the stuff. One
yeah.
other thing
He's
before I
smart
wanted
guy.
to
Yeah,
ask you
sure,
is if you had any
sure.
other channel recommendations.
Yeah, like okay, so I like Jeremiah Cohen
I checked him out.
because he has. Did you see his stuff on the music industry, the satanic music industry?
Yeah, I scrolled through his videos and kind of got a sense of what he's putting down.
Those are pretty good. I mean, I can't binge watch it, you know, because it's like a lot of worldly music all at once, right, for me. But
Yeah,
like if I'm just watching a 10-minute video a day, like, you know, like that, I get excited for that. Like, oh, I'm gonna watch one of these, you know. And
word. Yeah,
because what's really crazy is like the number one trending songs, like it'll always be about hell or something biblical, or it's like
I know.
you know, and you're like, well, if they're trying to tell you God isn't real, right? Like, why are they singing about him all the time, you know?
I know.
And
Right.
and it's crazy, you know. And I didn't think about how much Luciferian stuff was when I was a kid, you know. I didn't think about it, but there was a lot, you know. But we just thought that was just being a rebel, you know.
Yeah. Once your like aperture's open to that, it's hard to unsee it. At least for me now,
It is.
especially with the music industry. Like it's so obvious with people like Billie Eilish and all these like
Yes.
crazy people.
Yes. Yeah. And you're like, what is their motivation, man? Like they don't. I don't know if each person even writes their own songs. You know, like I just think it's like, here's the script. This is what you do.
Yeah.
Put your own spin on it, your own little style or whatever, and that's it. You know, because a lot of times you'll see like songs that are like redone and redone, and or then you'll see movies that are redone and redone and redone. I think it's just a script that we're all supposed to just hear that stuff over and over and over again. You know.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it's off. You said you asked like I don't know if you watch TV, man. Like if you watch TV, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
mean,
should know by now.
it's sick. I mean, and video games, man. Like my son plays a lot of video games, and this was before he was open to God, you know. Like this is just recent that he's been open to God, you know. But like he was playing this one video game that was like he was in hell, and there was a Leviathan down there and a Baphomet, and I'm like, those. I said, all those are
Wow.
characters, man, in the Bible, man. This is the devil, man. And he's like, oh, really? I'm like, oh my God, what's the world doing, man? You know,
Yeah, just
it's
plain sight, man. Plain sight.
it, and they attack the youth, man. they attack those kids, man. They have them
They've
so,
been getting them young since forever, right?
and they're
They're getting
just
us all while we're
confusing the
young.
crap out of them. Though they're confusing them about everything, about who they are, what they're capable of doing, whether they're a boy or a girl, what's okay, what's not okay. I mean, they're over sexualizing like kids that are, in 12, 11 years old. It's unreal, man. It's disgusting,
Just
And,
goes to show what power inherently we
yeah,
have. Otherwise, they
yeah,
wouldn't be trying to, fight us so much, right?
right. Oh yeah,
Put
they
us
hate
down.
us. They hate us. They hate us. Like I finally got it down to like this, right? Like if the Hollywood people, there's too much going on there for me to think that each one of those people was like us and then got famous and then signed a contract and that kind of thing, right? I'm wondering if like like the very top rung of those people are just like from those special families, right? They're already going in that Luciferian way, right? Or anything Antichrist, right? And then you start thinking about like Los Angeles, right? That the city means what, the angels, and they're calling each other stars all the time, and they got a star on the walkway, and they're giving each other golden idols all the time, right? And at some point you have to say, wow, like could this be the fallen angels right here? Like could this be that fallen angel bloodline? You know,
Wow. Yeah, I definitely know what you mean by like
that's a lot
using
of
to
speculation.
think. Oh, for sure. I
Yeah.
used to think that like, oh yeah, move out to California and have that chance. I definitely see what you mean now. It's
Right.
probably not that. It's probably
Oh,
more of like,
because
this is what you're going to do. We're not just gonna
yeah,
circumcise you. We are going to, like,
right,
completely
right,
convert you.
right.
And
Yeah,
then yeah,
right. Well. Check this out, right? I've lived in California my whole life, basically, except for when I was in the army and a couple other times, right? Um, I spent some time in Ohio and some time in Florida, but I've lived in California most of my life, and you would think by now that I would know somebody that knows somebody that knows a celebrity, like, or something like that, but I don't. Like, I don't even know anybody that knows a celebrity, and we should know, so they do live out here, like, you know what I mean? Like why, like, and how come you never hear about, like, other than Owen, right? You don't never hear about anybody that's like an ex Hollywood guy that, okay, I'm done with Hollywood and I'm just on my own, like or some celebrity that does like a high school play, or trying to make a few bucks or whatever.
right,
You,
right,
you,
right.
it's like you're a
The
Hollywood guy
only thing
or not,
I know exactly what you mean. It's kind of weird, it's in the same. Literally, the only thing I hear here is Dave Chappelle. Like people, I guess he lives pretty close to here, and
Yeah,
people say they see him or have known him and stuff like that. But he's kind of like a daywalker zombie type. But
I'm sure he's a
I don't
real
know.
guy and really lives out there, but it's like it's weird that he doesn't interact. Like, why don't these people interact with any other people
Well,
except
hey
us?
man, he took that $60 million check. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's yeah, he's
Well,
paid for.
when he took off, right, to, I think he went to Africa for a little bit. Everyone thought he went there forever.
Yeah, I wonder what that was all about.
Well,
Now that we're
now I don't
kind of in
know.
the know.
It was probably written into the narrative. Who knows, right? But like at that time, I was like, oh man, maybe finally somebody said it. The money ain't worth it.
Right, he seemed legit
You know what I mean? But this
for
is before
that.
I was a truther. This is before I was like a real truther.
Same,
And,
same.
and so like I knew there was something funny about 9/11, but like not enough to like get buried into it, like with flat Earth, how flat Earth was. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was very,
What was the hook? What was the fish hook that kind of? Do you know
well,
what was the initial thing?
yeah, it was flat Earth was the thing that got me, because the more I went into flat Earth, the more stuff in the Bible started making sense to me, and I wanted more
Yeah.
confirmation about God. But what happened was I ended up going down a very, very deep rabbit hole. Like I wanted to find out. Like now that we live on a flat Earth, and I knew it, right? I was like, I want to know which God is the real God, you know? And I went down a deep rabbit hole because I didn't want to let go of Jesus. I didn't want to let go of that at first, but I wanted to find out the truth, you know? But there's a lot of compelling stuff against Jesus, man. Like there's people that really want to convince you he's not real. And I'll tell you, a couple of times I almost got so depressed because something would sound so compelling, you know? And I'd be like, oh my God, man, my life is over, man. I need God to be real, you know? And but like I'm glad I'm out on the other side of that. I wish I probably didn't go down it, but at the same time, I'm glad I did because now I know for sure, you know. But
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
We all went down on different channels and avenues to get to where we are now. I took a interesting route, myself, but learned a lot of things along the way, so
you
no
know,
harm done.
man, this was a good one, man. This was a good show, I think.
I think so too,
So
man. I
I
think so
really
too.
appreciate you doing as many times as you want to do the show. You could do the show, man. I
Thank you.
mean, because you know, not to put any pressure on you, but like there's very few real people out there, and the quickest way you can tell a real person is like they could admit they're wrong, right? Like right when they do it, right? And you know what I mean? It like there's very few people like that, right? And so it's so it's slim pickings, man. It's like a small group of us, man. It's a small
Yeah.
group of us, but no, but you're good at this. So I just
Thanks, man.
it's up to you, man. So you know,
Appreciate it.
think about if you want to come on tomorrow, you can. I'm gonna probably have a
Awesome.
guest. All right, bud.
Awesome, man.
So
Thank
yeah,
you.
peace out, man. All right, God
God
bless you,
bless.
man. All
Take
right.
care.